In this video, we will continue naming compounds. The first type of compounds we looked at were binary ionic compounds. This time we'll look at polyatomic ionic compounds. These are ionic compounds that contain polyatomic ions, which means that they're going to have more than just two types of atoms. Looking at this, we should still see our cation and our anion, and in general, we'll assume the cation is just the first atom, just our first metal atom, unless it's like number 3 down here, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. So just to start us off, we would name the cation, just like we did before, sodium, and then we would need to name our anion. Our anion in this case, we have to just recognize this. That's the perchlorate anion, which means that all we need to do here is write sodium perchlorate, just taking the exact name of the ion and writing it in. It gets a little more complicated for the second example because once again copper is a transition metal. And so here we have copper. We're going to need parentheses, and then we'll write the name of our ion, our anion, which is going to be phosphate. And then we need to decide on the charge of the copper that it originally had. We get this 3 from our phosphate, that was the original charge of the phosphate, and that means that this 2 needed to come from the original charge of the copper, meaning that this should be copper 2 phosphate. This third one, like I mentioned before, is special because it contains our only common polyatomic cation, which we call ammonium. And the ammonium is that entire NH4. We also have a polyatomic anion, which is sulfate. In our fourth example, we see a cation, potassium, and an anion, nitrate. And we don't need parentheses here for Roman numerals because potassium is in group 1 on the periodic table.